how to predict the price moves in football trading. So I've had a few people email me and ask me how to know where the prices are going to be after a goal is scored. I've had people ask, is it random? Is it based on market emotions? Is it even possible to work out where the prices are going to move after a goal? Do we need fancy software or a spreadsheet to work it out? Well, the good news is that you don't need any of that. And it is perfectly possible to predict this, as I'm going to show you in this video. So coming up, I'm going to show you a nice little calculation which is going to allow you to predict the expected price range after a goal is scored. And this is covering both the match odds markets, and I'm going to cover the goal markets, the over and under 1.5, 2.5, 3.5 goals markets. So we're going to look at that. And obviously, I'm going to give you some hints on how you can use this to your advantage. Let's get into it. So I'm sure you know the scenario. A goal goes in, the markets go suspended, and when they unsuspend, all the prices are going to have moved. And if you're new to football trading, when that market suspends, you're probably wondering, where's that price going to move to? Where is this price going to move to exactly? But more experienced football traders, we've already got a very good idea of where the prices are going to move to as soon as that goal goes in, even before the goal goes in. And the sooner you learn to be able to predict where these prices are going to move to, the better, because then you can plan your trades in advance and you can always be aware of your worst case scenario and also your best case scenario. So let's get into this right now. So how to predict football prices after a goal is scored. So quick disclaimer before anyone gets too smart in the comments or anything like that. I do want to say there is no 100% accurate way. Okay, we're not trying to predict this all the way down to the tick because there's just too many variables at play in the football markets. And you have to remember that once the market reforms as well, the match is still in play and there's going to be fluctuations in the markets based on the action on the pitch in the meantime. So there's no 100% way to get this down to the tick. So what we need to do is look to see if there's a way that we can get an idea of the expected price range after a goal. So we're going to have an idea of maybe where the price should be, a certain number, a certain tick, but we're looking for that price range. So +5 ticks, +10 ticks, or whatever. So just in that price range is what we're trying to look for when we're trying to predict those price moves, as you're going to see in the examples anyway. And obviously, the lower the prices, the more accurate it can become. But do not go into this thinking there's a way to predict the precise tick of where that price is going to move to. But with match odds markets, there is a calculation that you can do to try and get an idea of where the price is going to move to. So if a team scores and takes the lead, then we pretty much do this calculation. We take their starting price and we divide it by 3. Okay, this is as a minimum. This is the minimum price move that we're looking for as well, by the way. So it's also the same if a team concedes. So if a team concedes, we take their starting price and we times it by 3. And that is the minimum price move that we're looking to have. So here's a quick example. So if Arsenal's starting price was 1.40, then that means if they score a goal and take the lead, the minimum price move we're going to expect is that their price is going to move in to 1.13. So we're just taking 1.40, dividing that by 3, and it's going to give us the 1.13. That is their odds divided by 3. So it's going to move into 1.13 minimum or lower, because obviously the later on in the match that goal arrives, the closer to 1.01 it's going to be. So if that goal arrives in the 90th minute, then it's going to be pretty close to 1.01, you would imagine. If they do concede a goal, then their price range is going to be at least 2.20 as a minimum or higher. And again, that's going to depend largely on the time of the match when they concede the goal. But based on if a goal went in the first minute of the match and Arsenal took the lead, we'd expect their price to move into 1.13. Or if they conceded a goal in the first minute of the match, then their price is going to move out to 2.20. So to use that information to plan a trade, if I wanted to back Arsenal before the match, then I know that I can win probably 27 ticks if they score straight away. And if the goal arrives later on, probably there's a maximum of 40 ticks to be gained. And then you can start planning out trades based on that. But that would be the minimum price move down to 1.13. And of course, there are other factors in there as well, like Arsenal's performance leading up to it and other little market fluctuations in the meantime. But that is pretty much it. It would be a range of around 1.13 where we would be expecting that price to move to after a goal. So obviously, like I said, that is based on pretty much that goal going in the first minute. And as we know with football, those goals go in at all sorts of times of the match. So if Arsenal's starting price was 1.40, but 60 minutes have played, and now the in-play price is 1.90, now you might be thinking, do we divide the 1.90 by 3? No. It is still starting price divided by 3 in this case. So again, it kind of shows you the value of waiting until the second half and getting a much bigger price on that team. Because if Arsenal score in the second half and their price is 1.90, that's where we backed them, it's still going to move in to 1.13 as a minimum, or possibly lower because it's now much later in the game. And of course, if we backed them at 1.90 and then Arsenal score in injury time, the price is moving into pretty much 1.01. So keep all that in mind. But here's where it does start to vary. Now, if Arsenal were to concede when their price was 1.90 in the 60th minute, then their in-play price is going to triple or more. Okay, so remember, if they conceded in the first minute based on their starting price, we would expect that price to move out to 2.20. But if they concede in the 60th minute, you have to take their in-play price and triple that. So if Arsenal were to concede in the 60th minute when their price was currently 1.90, you'd expect their price would move out to 3.70 or higher. It is starting to sound a bit confusing. I do have an example to show you as well, but this is the calculation here, so you can work out how to do it yourself. So this is the calculation, and just to avoid all confusion, you're best served just removing the decimal points from the equation, because obviously if you divide 1.40 by 3, then you're not going to quite get the odds we're looking for. So the best thing to do is just remove the decimal odds from the decimal points from the equation. So 1.40, if we wanted to work that out, then it would suddenly become 40. That's what we're looking for. We're looking to just divide 40 by 3. That's what we're trying to do. So 40 divided by 3 is then going to give us 13.33. So we're going to round it to the nearest whole number. If you remember your maths lessons at school, a very long time ago for some of us, but it's pretty simple to do. We're just going to round it to the nearest whole number, which would be, in this case, 13. And then we're going to add the decimal point back. So in the end, the calculation, it was pretty simple. We just made it 40 divided by 3, 13.33. Obviously, we can't do 0.33 on Betfair, so it is just a case of going to 1.13, and that is the expected price that we're looking for. It can get a little bit more confusing once the odds go above evens. So once the odds go above evens, what you have to do is you minus 1 from the decimal number. So 2.40, if we wanted to try and work out the price after a goal, if a team was 2.40, we're going to minus 1 from that, and it's going to make it 1.40, but then we're going to remove the decimal point, and it gives us 140. So we're just going to basically then divide 140 by 3, and that gives us a price of 46.66, but we're going to round that up to 47. And the expected price after a goal goes in, if a team has a starting price of 2.40, then we've got to expect their price is going to move into 1.47 or lower. And obviously the time of the match is going to be dependent on that. But if the goal goes in the first minute, it's going to move in to 1.47 or lower. So obviously, if a team concedes an equalizer, this is where it starts to get a lot easier to try and work out the prices. If a team concedes an equalizer, so if a team takes the lead and then they concede an equalizer at any point in the match, you're basically expecting their price is just going to move to the starting price or higher. And depending on the time of the match, usually higher and much higher. I mean, if a team is leading 1-0, but they concede an equalizer in the 95th minute, then their price is probably going to head out to 1,000. So it's going to move back to at least the starting price. That's something to keep in mind as well, that it's never really going to go back below the starting price. So if you're trying to work out where the price is going to be, if you're laying a team in play and you expect they're going to concede an equalizer, and you're trying to work out where would their price be if they conceded the equalizer, then just look or plan for their price to move back to the starting price. That would be the best way to calculate your worst case scenario. So, I mean, what can influence this? I've covered this a lot. Time value is a big factor in this. Obviously, the later in the match, the bigger the move, which is why we can only try and calculate the minimum expected price move, and that's why we're really just looking at odds ranges when we're trying to predict this. Team performance can have an impact. Sometimes if a team takes the lead but they haven't been convincing and it's been a bit of a goal against the run of play, I've seen this have an impact on the price, and maybe instead of dividing their starting price by 3, it divides by 2.5. But then that generally does start to get corrected quite quickly, and it starts to head towards where it should be in play. But sometimes if a team's not that convincing and they still take the lead, then you could see a bit of a price fluctuation based on the prediction. And of course, red cards. I mean, I'm sure that goes without saying that once a red card enters the market, I find it pretty hard to predict where the prices are going to be, because there's so much to take into account when there is a red card. It's who has had the red card, were they the favorite, were they not the favorite, what was the scoreline when the red card happened, all those sorts of things there. Red cards, I wouldn't even bother trying to predict the price after a red card. But of course, there could be unknown variables at work. And honestly, this is usually going to happen in the more obscure matches, so just keep that in mind. But sometimes there are forces that we just can't see that are influencing the prices. So if you've done that calculation and then a goal goes in and the price isn't quite adding up to where the calculation said it was going to be, then it could be that there is something else going on. It could be maybe there is a fixed match, or it could just mean there's some great value in the market there. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind that there are unknown variables. And as I stressed at the start of this video, this is not 100% reliable, but in most cases, 9 out of 10, then you can rely on this and you can get a pretty good prediction of the price moves after a goal. And before we do go any further, I do just want to let you know that all the calculations in this video are actually summarized in this free cheat sheet that I'm giving away to anyone who watches this video. You can find out how to download this for free via the links in the description to this video, but it's going to have all the calculations and everything that you absolutely need, so you don't have to keep watching this video over and over again, but you can download that and keep that and then use that when you're trading football. So that calculation we did, it might have made things sound a bit more confusing than they really are. So let's just show you a few real life examples from the Betfair charts. So this is Manchester United against Leicester. You can see that Manchester United had a starting price of 1.59. And this is quite a good example because Manchester United took the lead in this match in, I think it was the 2nd minute. So what we can see is that Manchester United's starting price was 1.59. So if we want to try and work out where their price would be if they took the lead, we just divide 59 by 3. Very simple. Gives us 19.66. So we're going to round that up to the nearest whole number, which is 20, which would mean that we're going to expect Manchester United's price to move into 1.20 after the first goal is scored. And in this case, you can see this screenshot was taken immediately after the markets reformed. And look at that for last price matched, 1.20. So pretty accurate in that case. And as I would say, the lower the odds, the more accurate this becomes. So I'm just going to move into some more examples, but I'm not going to bore you with the calculation every single time because I'm sure you get the point by now. But this was higher odds in this French match and also lower liquidity. So the liquidity isn't really great on this one, but it's still pretty much stuck to the rule. Now their starting price was around 2.50. So after the first goal goes in, you'd expect their price to move into 1.50. And that's pretty much what happened here. And by the time we took the screenshot, the last price matched was 1.47. So that one there is pretty accurate as well. Let's move on. Liverpool, West Ham. Liverpool's starting price here was 1.26. They scored pretty early in this one. So you would expect their price after that, based on a 1.26 starting price, would be close to 1.09 or 1.08. And as you can see, pretty much that's where it's moved into. 1.09 was that current price to back after the goal went in. And this is a good example because it also shows you what happens when the leading team concedes an equalizer, as we did cover. In this one, Spurs' starting price was around evens. That is their starting price around here. So if your starting price is evens, you got to expect that your price is going to move into 1.33 after you score the first goal, and that's pretty much what happened with Spurs here. Although we can't really see the precise prices. Because Betfair's charts are not really that detailed and great, but it was pretty close to that range of around 1.33, that price target. But you can see that Spurs conceded an equaliser pretty much after they scored, and look where their price went back to the starting price. So that is what you got to expect when a team concedes a goal. Their price is going to go back to the starting price or higher, obviously depending on the time of the goal. The later in the match it becomes, the bigger the price move. But this was a good example because this was a relatively early equaliser scored by Newcastle. So you can see it went straight back to the starting price, and then Spurs took the lead again. And then where did the price go back to? Very, very predictable moves, as you can see here. And it kind of gets rid of that myth that the markets are governed on, some sort of emotion or anything like that. The prices are pretty easy to predict. It is a lot dependent on the starting price of that team. So all these examples have come from the first half, which I feel is very, very useful as well. But anyway, all that covers how you would predict the price moves in the match odds markets. And that's probably the more difficult side of things. But let's take a look at how you predict the price moves in the goal markets, the over 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, and so on. So when it comes to predicting the price moves that happen in the goal markets on Betfair, it's actually a lot easier. And to be honest, you're probably going to be kicking yourself if you haven't worked this out already. So here are the goal markets on this German match. So currently we're looking at the over and under 5.5 goals market. So let me just show you. This is 4.5, this is 3.5, this is 2.5, and this is 1.5. And obviously if we want to try and work out the minimum price move and the expected price range after a goal goes in, you're basically just going to go to whatever goal market you're on. If we were looking at the 4.5 goals market, and we wanted to know what the price is going to be if a goal goes in right now, basically you just minus a goal off this market and bring it down to 3.5, and whatever is on the 3.5 goals market is going to be shown on the 4.5 goals market. So currently on 4.5 goals, over 4.5 goals is 6.4. If a goal goes in right now, that price is going to move into what is on the 3.5 goals market, which is 3.2 to lay. That is pretty much it. Over 2.5 goals currently is 1.83 to back on over 2.5 goals. If a goal goes in, over 2.5 goals market pretty much reflects what is on the 1.5 goals market. So 1.83 on over 2.5 goals, that's going to move in to 1.27. But just to keep in mind, this is the minimum price move, and you got to expect a bit of a price range. So the best way to do it is always look at the minimum price move, but then plus on 10 ticks to get a good idea of the price range. So in this case, 1.83 on over 2.5 goals. If a goal goes in, we're expecting that price to go into 1.29 to lay, but plus 10 ticks. So between 1.29 and 1.39. That is probably the best way to do it. Remember, we are looking for the price range. As stressed, we can't find the precise tick. So this is probably the best way to do it. So if we were to back over 3.5 goals and a goal goes in right now, price is going to move in from 3.15 into 1.85, but plus 10 ticks. So it's going to move in between 1.85 and 1.95. And also remember that when a goal goes in, the markets are going to go suspended. They're going to be suspended for maybe a minute. A period of time where it's probably not going to be 1.85. The ticks are probably going to start to have, they're probably going to have moved naturally if that suspension didn't happen. So you're probably looking at somewhere in the middle. So we said the price range is going to be 1.85 to 1.95. It's probably going to end up being around 1.90. But 1.95 is probably your worst case scenario. But anyway, that is pretty much how you'd work out the goal markets. A goal goes in, you just look at what the last price matched was on the 1.5 goals market, add on 10 ticks to get an idea, and that is your price range. That's your expected price range movement. So here's a match from the French League, and we've literally just had a goal. So let me show you this price here. Over 1.5 goals. The last price matched 1.52. See that there? 1.52. That was the last price matched on over 1.5 goals. So if we go to over 2.5 goals, we've got to expect that when this market finally fully reforms, that the lowest price on over 2.5 goals is going to be 1.52, and it's going to be in that odds range between 1.52 and 1.62, and it probably won't be higher than 1.62. Now this market is reforming. Watch the market closely. Look at the price on over 2.5 goals. 1.62 is available there. That's the highest point of the range that we mentioned. 1.61 is available there. Eventually this is going to settle, and it's going to settle in the 1.50s, I should expect. Now keep in mind that after the goal is scored, you've got a few minutes where the market reforms and the match kicks off again, which is why it's never going to end up really on 1.52. Eventually, when this settles, hopefully we should get maybe around 1.55, 1.56, because that's where it would be if the match was just playing normally. And it looks like that's where it's going to be, 1.56 to lay. So there you have it, a quick example. You saw how the odds were a little bit higher after that, after the goal, but they quickly corrected. So 19 minutes in, we just had a goal in this game. So over 1.5 goals, we can see the last price match was 1.91. So that would mean that over 2.5 goals, when this market resettles, is going to be 1.91. And over 2.5 goals, you can see the last price match was 4. So once this market resettles, it should be 1.91 to 2.02. It should be somewhere in that range, probably in the middle of that. So probably around 1.95, 1.96. When this settles on over 3.5 goals, should be around 4, maybe 4.1 or 4.2 maybe. But so this is settling, and it looks like we're going to get in, and the price is going to reform around 1.95, 1.96. It's getting pretty close. I still don't think it's quite settled. I still think it's fluctuating and finding its exact price. But it's getting there, and that's pretty much it. It's moved into probably around 1.95, 1.96. When the prices get around evens, they do get a little bit erratic. If you've traded football with any sort of experience, then you'll know that as well. So you can see on over 3.5 goals, that's pretty much moved into where we expected. It's moved into around 4. That's pretty much bang on. But over 2.5 goals, looks like it's going to settle there around 1.96. See, it's hit the 1.91 there. It's fluctuating all over the place. But you kind of get the point. That is how we predict where the odds are going to move to in the goal markets. Just look at the goal market above and judge from there. Look for the price range. And that is about it. I'm sure now, from watching this video all the way through, you've now got a very, very good idea of how to predict the price moves in both the match odds and the goal markets. Now, I understand, and I know this is a lot to take in all at once. This is why I had this exclusive cheat sheet that you can see on the screen. I had this made up for you guys so you can take this away for absolutely free, download it, print it out, and use this when you are trading football. In the cheat sheet, it has all the calculations you need. You don't need to rewatch this video again or take your own notes. Just download this, print it out for free, and when you're trading football, refer to it. Refer to it, and then you can do the calculations. You can work out where the prices should be. And then, to be honest, after a few times, you're not even going to need it anymore. But it is absolutely great for beginners. And so if you are new to the football markets, I recommend you get this. And it is absolutely free, so you've got nothing to lose at all. Click the link in the description to download your free copy. So all you have to do is scroll down, check out the description. There should be a link in there right at the top. Click on that, and then you can download your copy. Simple as that. And believe me, if you are new to football trading, then you're definitely going to need this. And you don't want to have to keep watching this video to remind yourself of the calculations. Just print this out, have it by your side. And then, like I said, after a few goes, you're not even going to need it anymore. But it's very, very useful when you're learning the football markets and you want to have a good idea of where those prices are going to be after a goal goes in. But anyway, thank you for checking this video out. I hope you've enjoyed it. And remember, if you like videos like this, if you're interested in football trading, strategies, systems, other tips, then make sure you subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell so you get the first videos. You're the first to know about them. Make sure you do that. That button is right there. Also, like I said, check the links in the description so you can get that free gift. And of course, there are some other videos for you to start watching right away. Don't go anywhere. I'll see you guys in the next video.